Hello once again. This is Eric Martin, Professor of History at Lewis Clark State College. And today I want to just take a couple of minutes to discuss the relationship between History 101 or History 102 and the General Education Core at LCSC. Because most of you are taking the course, right? Because it's part of the General Education Core. It fulfills some type of a core requirement for you. And I just want to emphasize the importance of the General Education Core. If it were solely up to me, we would all be thinking about the General Education Core as a separate curriculum. You take your core curriculum, then you take your major curriculum, and that's the idea behind it. The idea behind courses that are in the Gen Ed Core is that they teach skills that are important no matter what major you have. And the General Education Core it's intended to develop literate, well-informed graduates who are capable of educating themselves on any topic they want to for the rest of their lives. And in my opinion, that ought to be the purpose of a college education. You ought to be focusing on developing or refining the skills so that when you graduate, you are capable of learning about anything you want to. Um, that ought to be our mission here, in my opinion. Okay, so some simple things that we're engaged in. We may not be used to thinking about historians operating with data, but that is what our sources are. Whether you're using this book or the other version of it, that book is filled with data and information. So is the video that we watch every week. So what I think we have going on here is your mission is to watch the video. But you have to be doing more than being some sort of a passive observer of the video. You have to be actively engaged in processing the information that video is presenting, actively engaged in interpreting the information that the video is presenting, because that is the goal as college educated people, right? The idea is supposed to be, well, we don't just accept information at face value. Whatever someone tells me, I may or may not believe, depending upon how I've gone about evaluating it. So I want us to think about the videos as something that we take notes on and that we give a little bit of a deeper engagement with. Same thing with the secondary sources out of Worlds of History. Those sources provide a interpretation of history. I hope y'all are taking good notes on them. I hope y'all are thinking about those secondary sources as information. It's information that someone has given you, and now you're trying to process it on the one hand, absorb it. On the other hand, think about how it makes sense with other types of information you have. Now, what other types of information would you have? It's a 100 level course. Well, all right, now we get to the primary sources. Our data. That's historical raw data. Now you've got raw data. It's good stuff to read between the lines. It is not simple. Many of these readings are not simple. The primary sources. You have to read them slowly. You have to know who the authors are. You have to know where they came from. You have to know the context of the document. But you know what? I think those kind of skills are going to be important for you as lifelong learning skills, and frankly, as employable skills in the future. The idea that here we are in History 101 and History 102 focusing on the idea of being better learners, being more analytical with the sources that we have, and thinking about information that we're giving not just as something for us to swallow hook, line, and sinker, but as information and data for us to think about how was it created, who created it, why did they create it, and now what does it mean? I think that is an employable skill in a wide variety of fields. Your note taking, I think, is an employable skill in a wide variety of fields. Not that an employer is ever going to ask you for your notes, but developing a good system of note taking so that you can summarize and recall information, so that you can summarize and recall the important points of something that you were asked to view or something to ask that you were asked to report back on. You want a good set of notes to be able to do that. Your employer is not going to want to listen to you give a 30-minute um, summary of a 15-minute presentation. They're going to want to know, quick, what were the main points. Other skills we're working on in this class are on the discussion boards in terms of trying to improve our ability to communicate with each other through writing. And it's a little bit tricky, right? Because the discussion boards have a little bit of a feel like texting with our friends, but I want us to formalize that a little bit more so that our grammar is proper, our sentences are clear, and that what we are working on in our discussion boards is our ability to develop a conversation with each other um, through this new technology, which will just be utilized more as we go on to the future, but also as a way of improving your writing skills. There's so much writing on the discussion boards that several semesters ago I stopped giving um, formal papers to this class, with the idea being that somehow I want to improve the writing on the discussion boards, focusing on the sources, focusing on our interpretations, making our writing clear. So I can do more with emphasizing that. But here I am, on your computer screen, emphasizing that. I'd like for you to really engage in those discussion boards. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to write more. Just means make it better. Make nice, clean writing. And so reading, absorbing the data, analyzing the data, and then discussing the data through written forms. I think that is employable skills for any job, and that gets outside of just thinking about why history and historical having a good sense of history is important for us anyway. That's just thinking about the skill set involved in history. So that's it for now. I just wanted to emphasize these are some of the skill sets that I hope we were learning in the process. As usual, if you have any questions about the course, email me, give me a call, drop by the office, and enjoy your historical studies.